Good morning. Sorry about that. I made a coffee and left my thermos flask upstairs. Not great, but I'm here now. Sorry about the delay. Let's have a look. Who is here? Right. Hi, Perplexity. Hello to me. Oh, and then we have Tyler Shop Shreds. Hi, Stelly. And Tanmay. Good to see you on here. Excellent. Well, we've got a few of you on here. Right now, I didn't actually have anything particularly planned for today. I know sort of I've gone a bit more guitar focused. So maybe those of you who are playing guitar, maybe have a think about what you'd like to know. And I'll see if I can help. Test me out. Can't miss your stream, no, Tanmay. That's good. It's 1 a.m. No, it's, that's all right. You can always have a power nap during the day, can't you? And apparently that's a really good thing. I need to get to one. That's what I do. I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? In fact, there's a few things. I mean, really, I should make content. If I made content, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. But I just love live streaming so much, and I did actually try an experiment where I'd try and get some content made out of one of the streams, but it just didn't work. And I think partly it's to do with I think I have a strange sense of humour, right? And it has to be in context of what's going on. You just can't seem to cut me out and make some content out of it. It just looks really weird. So it didn't really work, which is a shame, but not to worry, because it just means I've got to make some content at some point. But as I say, to me, talking to a camera on my own is such a boring thing to do, and to make content, it's oh, come on. And why is it boring? I'll tell you why it's boring, because I can see why people like doing it, and I can see why I don't like doing it. And the reason I don't like doing it and that it bores me is because it's a result, isn't it? It's a result focus. I know what I'm doing. I know what's going to happen. There's nothing you plan these things, don't you? Apart from unless if I was improvising a guitar solo on it, then that might be different. But other than that, and then it's not dynamic. There's no audience. There's no sort of feedback there, is there, in any way? There is feedback. But I'll be careful what I say, because I don't want to beat myself off and put myself completely off doing content. But that's the two things. But I mean, switch the camera on, you get into a routine of doing something like this, it becomes a habit. I'm saying that I had a week off yesterday, but it was really good. You get into a routine, you get into a flow of doing these lives, and you kind of just, for me, get up, go on here. There's all these wonderful people to talk to, and it's just great. I love the dynamics. Hi, Sean. I see, look, that delay is back on my voice again. That's really weird. Oh, it does that. It's a logic thing. So ooh, Tanmay, mostly guessing, using other popular tracks to form a structure. Okay, so that's quite a good thing to do, and it's certainly something that I did. In fact, I think it is popular knowledge that I used a lot of the Riding Out album, although some of the structures got modified along the line, but initially in my writing template for that album, I used The Shape of You, Ed Sheeran. That's true. So I'll tell you what the process is, and I think it's a really handy thing to do. When you're starting out, or if you're finding arrangement a difficult thing to do, just get whatever track you fancy, a popular track. I think pop music's really good to use that because they know how to get things flowing, don't they? They know how to transition and tell a story, and verse choruses and pre-choruses and all that kind of stuff. So pop music's really good. So, and obviously Ed Sheeran, excellent songwriting going on there. It's a good choice. So all you do is you get The Shape of You. Okay, I'm not going to do it on the stream because I'll get a strike. And all you do is just load it into your DAW onto a MIDI channel, onto a audio channel. And then just get it locked to the grid, okay? And then what I do is I just draw like MIDI blocks in, just empty MIDI blocks along the top that are the length of each section. So you'll have one MIDI block that'll be the intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, whatever you fancy. And then that structure becomes your template. So yeah, that's the idea anyway. Morning, Smart Alec. How you doing? Good to see you on here. And anyway, once you've got that structure in, okay, you can just save that as your template, and that's your starting template. And there's a number of things you can then do with that. So one thing is you can do structure splurges. So, I mean, I have a timer there. I prefer the other timer, actually. But anyway, I got one of those new trendy digital ones. But it's a lot more awkward to use. So you can do different things. So you can do structure splurges. So, for example, you could do just a time 10-minute, going to write verses, bang, bang, bang. Then you're going to do maybe write choruses on another splurge. So you can do that. You can splurge into the arrangement, which I think is it's a good way of doing things. It's not brilliant. It's but it is good. It does get things going. It served me really well. For McRocklin Hutch stuff. But what I will say is the structures on that did actually change through. I mean, actually, one of my favourite structures that I did on McRocklin Hutch is waiting for the right time. So it's got that synth riff, it's got that descending hook, if you listen to it. And that's just great because that's like a verse chorus, but actually the verses and the choruses are building tension. And what happens is that little melody at the end is the thing that releases the tension out of everything. And I think, the really interesting thing about that is this idea of in music having a thing. So what is the thing? Well, the thing is a piece of music that releases the most tension. I don't think there's any particular theories that's written down around this, but it's basically when you think about music, it's tension and release all the time. And a good example of tension and release and use of a thing would be Thriller, Michael Jackson. So that song is all about tension. Intro, da, 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 those big stabs. But then, if you think the thing that releases tension throughout that song is that bass line, the dun 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 dun. So whenever that bass line comes in, that's the thing that's releasing tension from the previous section. And that is what you call a thing. A thing is a piece of music releasing the most tension. And obviously there's like tons of ways you can, create tension, release tension, through dynamics, through modulations, through using a groove. So it's good to learn, if you learn a little bit about harmony and things like that, that's going to really, really help. Because I tend to use quite a bit of that as well. Do I like selective picking? Do I like selective picking? I don't dislike it, but I just don't do it. I haven't ploughed any time into it. And I would never say no to doing it. What's interesting about that question to me is the journey I've been on. The journey from, me being an okay shredder and being strictly an alternate picking person, somebody who alternately picks, and saying, I'm an alternate picker and I'm not doing anything else other than sweeping and tapping. But that's my main, to get about technique. That's what I do. And then that was also limited by the fact, I would say, that really that I'm only going to be somebody who plays outside of the strings, which is impossible because you have to be able to play inside. But I would say predominantly, like being left-handed and right-handed, I'm going to be an outside picking person. And then this was confirmed to me that would be a great idea because, there's guitarists like Paul Gilbert and stuff like that, and they do say at the time, that dominant-wise, it was this outside motion. So then I was like, oh, right, I really don't have to bother because if they're doing it, then that's fine, right? But then I realised that I was really limited, and watching Thomas play, so Thomas was really getting into the picking angles of things when he got back into shredding, and he was able to play really odd note groupings and weird numbers of notes on strings that I couldn't do, without having to like get into this I had to get into the angling thing. So then I realised after a bit of research there was Troy Grady who was doing all the picking angle stuff, the slanted picking. Got into that, so then the slanted picking thing happened and that massively improved the situation. So that's the first thing, Troy Grady. But then things escalated. That sort of solved the problem for me. But then what I had to do is I wanted more, right? That wasn't enough. So I found that actually, even though the slanted picking worked really well, it was very, very thinky a lot of the time. So if there was certain like picking things that were coming up that were tricky to play, pentatonic things with 2s and 3 notes, maybe it's 1 note, I was having to, in an improvisation situation, think about the technique, and that was throwing me off a bit. So I didn't like that. I needed something that would be easier, a technique that I wouldn't have to think too hard about. And that's when I started getting into economy picking. But economy picking, I got into it in a really, really subtle way. So how that happened was I started doing those, listening to blues players who did, like Joe Bonamassa, and they do the Eric Johnson thing with pentatonics, 2 notes per string, 5 notes down, and to get back up to the next set of 5, you do 2 downs. Well, I was doing that, and I thought, oh, this is quite good. Like, I don't have to think as much about, if I was picking a group of 5, I'd have to think about that. This, I'm not having to think as hard about playing it, so this is pretty good. And I was doing that, and then it was happening more and more frequently, and then I just kind of made the jump, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for this economy picking thing. And I was really getting into, I think it would have been 3-1-3 scales that were really kicking it off, and there's no way I was going to be able to do that. So it was that very specific thing that I was wanting to get into my playing, and that's what started it. So, and then after that, hybrid picking came in. Took a couple of attempts to get that down. I found hybrid picking initially to start and to get comfortable with it more awkward than economy picking. But now, like when you watch me play, I'm alternate picking, economy picking, and hybrid picking. It's all happening. I think the interesting thing about that is managing it, because like occasionally my brain will just want to do all 3 at the same time, and it's just like my hands just folds up and crashes, error. So that's a really interesting problem to have. So I would never say, all of these techniques that I got into solved the problem, and I think that's what I'm saying. And so I'll only do things if I'm experiencing a problem, and I believe, as people on here who know me, who've been coached by me, regulars on here have heard me talk, is when I talk about basically, if you're wanting to progress as an artist, musician, okay? Somebody who sort of, you have your unique thing, then a good approach to that is simply to solve your own problems. If we're in a situation where you're going to be a session musician or something like that, that's kind of, to me, like a craftist thing. So you're going to learn lots of styles, aren't you, and kind of do them to a certain degree. For me, that's not something I would... it's something I wanted to do probably as a kid, but something I definitely wouldn't want to do now or pursue, simply because I just think the world is crying out for people who are creating unique music, and the only thing that's unique is yourself. And then when you're expressing that self, hopefully the problems that you're having are to some degree the good problems, because there's lots of crap problems like, how do I plug my guitar in, what scale do I use, there's those kind of common problems. But then you'll start having more interesting problems that arrive, that are more to do with your style. So things like the 3-1-3 for me cropped up, and 3-1-3 is great for sort of shredding and doing things, but it also gives you in other ways creative limitations, and with that can also shape subtly the sound in your style. I have a certain sound and style that I get from using that. So it's all these kind of subtle little things that come together through all the problems that you're trying to solve that will, hopefully create you as a person. And I just think Alan Holdsworth is a great extreme version of this. Alan Holdsworth is somebody who he only sounds like himself, and his playing is so deep and vast and complicated and expansive. And it sounds to me as if, he was just solving all of these problems that were unique to himself that then created that sound. And I know that I'm saying the word problem and nobody likes problems, but do take heed, right? Problems are good, but it's good problems that we want. So this is very, very important. I want everybody who come to my stream to think, problems are good. As coaches, we used to say challenges, right? You need to... somebody say, I've got a problem. I say, well, no, don't. We're not having problems. It's a challenge. Let's have a look at the challenge. And then discuss ways to go up and around the challenge to get away from it, right? Like now, that's not like a thing. So more importantly, is we just accept the problem, okay, and look at it fondly and make it your friend. Because the thing is with a problem, is there are opportunities within that problem, and this is everything in life, okay? And one of the cool things about a problem is if you can describe it and you can explain it, usually the solution will just pop out. And when that happens to me, I get really, really excited. I get so excited. I'm thinking, I've got something to do. And this is something that's very evident when I'm playing guitar, right? So sometimes, and we'll all experience this, is you play, you're learning things, you've got the frustration of learning, haven't you? I'm trying to think about... all right, yes. So if we think about guitar playing in terms of the 4 C's, right? So the 4 C's are commitment, courage, new capabilities, confidence, right? Those are the 4 C's. So if we think of the first one as courage, right? So for me, learning economy picking, or anybody learning a new technique. Sorry, Taylor, I'm completely digressing onto this. It's just you've sparked this whole interesting thing, right? Which has got me thinking. And all you asked was if I selective pick. I know. But this is really interesting when I'm exploring my own thoughts on this. So when we think about when we're learning anything, say selective picking, or any technique, okay? Firstly, I'll identify, right, I really need to do this thing, right, because it's going to solve a lot of problems, yeah? And the first thing you're going to do is you make a commitment. I'm going to do this, right? So you do it, okay? And the thing you need, once you've committed to it and you've made your plan, is you need courage. So courage isn't confidence. Courage is a soldier in battle. It's fear. It's tackling all of these obstacles, isn't it? It's the fight. We're not really fighting. We're just practicing, of course. But generally, it's the pits and falls and trials and tribulations of being a learner or self-directed learner. In our case. And then once you get through that courage thing, you acquire new capabilities, you acquire new skills. And that's great because then you're deploying those new skills and you're feeling good about it. And that's when you get to the top. And then what happens is you will plateau. So you have to go back around this whole thing. It's that plateauing thing. But what's interesting is I'll have these periods where a plateau, you get used to yourself, and then it feels almost like you go a bit crap again on your guitar, right? So there's that boredom plateau. You come down the other hill and you feel that, your playing's not as good. But I think what that actually is, it's an awareness of there's another problem, okay? Because you've played, you're hyper tuned into your playing, and other problems that were probably already there are presenting themselves, okay? And that's something to get excited about, because now you've got a problem. But rather than just playing, I'm crap today, you need to analyze what that problem is like an engineer, okay? Describe and explain that problem, and then come up with some sort of strategy with what you're going to do. And I can guarantee you'll get dead excited about it. You'll love problems and you'll love practice, because that's showing you the way to do it. And of course, in terms of a belief structure, you'll commit to these things and you'll build up, a real positive belief in yourself that you can do these new things as well. So, I mean, I love learning new things on guitar, but I do love learning things that are going to be relevant to my style. So, in terms of selective picking, I wouldn't rule it out, but it hasn't come up as a problem yet. But if it does, I can guarantee I'll be selective picking. So there was a very long answer to, do you like selective picking? Or would you do selective picking? There you go. I should get my eyes tested as well. Right. All right, here we go. As a producer, guitar just feels like an uncharted instrument. I can't use it musically, but if I'm just jamming to tracks, it's a fun tool. What you'll find there, Tanmay, is you're already using it like a producer. I mean, there's lots of producers who don't have absolutely amazing, super duper guitar skills, who aren't shredders. Who just know what they're doing. I mean, there's loads of indie bands that I love, right? Tanmay, and I've heard you play, and you'd be a better guitarist than them, right? You'll have more technique than them. It's just focusing in on your style and making that tight. That's what you need to do. Yeah, MIDI feels so much more comfortable. Well, MIDI probably does, because it's a performance that you can correct, and it's something where if you don't have the required result, you can fix it on the roll, can't you? So, right. You love selective picking, Tyler. Brilliant. And hybrid picking is crucial. Cool. Makes my life easier. And that's Tanmay. Hutch, do you get temptations to listen to, make splurges over and over? I'm struggling to wait at least 3 days here. I never listen to my splurges. That's it. They go into the thing. 3 days is the minimum. It's always over 3 days. So it's like I've got up, the text is small, I'm trying to read it, which is fine, and then I should click on the button. And I also have dyslexia, but you sparked a bit of Tyler, you sparked a bit of enthusiasm there, just about the whole thing, learning journey of guitar. it connects a bunch of dots. Very good. Neuroplasticity. Well, yeah, I mean, habits will form, will change the neuroplasticity of your brain. So forming a habit of not listening to your splurges could be a thing. Hi, Mick, how you doing? Good to see you on here. Most of the time, the describe part is too hard. Right. Right, okay, so to describe a part, let's say Tanmay will do a dance track. So I know you do sort of dance music. You like EDM, don't you? But you like putting EDM with guitar, which is a cool thing to do. Right, well, say you've got your track, you listen to your track, right? And then when you hear a problem, you stop the track, okay? And there's something going on there. So the process of that is to describe what the instruments are doing at that point, not to say what the problem is. That's the first thing, because what we're doing is we're trying to make this, I imagine it like a 3D musical model in my head. So I'll go, the kick is doing, playing on every quarter beat, and it's an 8-note long. I would say that the snare is on 2 and 4. We have an offbeat snare doing some offbeat things. There's a hi-hat on the offbeat. And I might say that has some low end on it. I might say, the bass is doing 8 notes. We've got some chords and a lead that are in very much a similar register. So I would describe everything that's going on there, and let's say the problem was between the chords and the lead, right? Pretty obvious problem. And there was some sort of harmonic clash there. Then I would say, after describing everything, then I would explain that there is some sort of dissonance happening within the melody and the chords, okay? And then I would pinpoint exactly where that dissonance is, and then describe what that is. So you have, like, I don't know, if it's a major 7 chord, and the lead is playing like the root in the same register, maybe that would cause a clash, right? So then you would have to that would be the explanation, and then brainstorming would be, well, I could either move the 7th to the same note as the lead note, or I can move the lead note to an alternative note. And that's how you would do it. So that's a very basic way of doing it. Excellent, you're doing good. But again, some pretty good questions here. I'm liking this. I've got up and thought, oh God, I have to play, which I am. I've had my coffee. It's almost like it's just truly listening and not judging. All comes down to that. It does. So, should we define what listening is? So I'm just going to reinforce this for everybody. Listening. So the important thing is is what we're listening to, right? So what we don't want to be doing is listening to our feelings, right? Because feelings aren't like really scientific data in this situation at all. So you don't want to look at it like, oh, I don't like this track, or I don't like the groove, or I don't like that. It doesn't make me feel weird. That's not proper information at all, right? I feel uncomfortable. Like I can't, like if I was to say, Mech, I want you to sort this track out for me, and I've given you a list of jobs, and one of them was, I feel uncomfortable. You can't, like, what does that mean? How would he do that job? He wouldn't be able to do it. But if I clearly identify a problem and say, I need the clash removing from this particular chord between the melody and that, you would know exactly, right, that's where the problem is. I can work that out. I can tick that, right? So there's a difference. Like, feelings aren't very good, but the problem with feelings is they become very consuming to us as producers, and cause a lot of stress and worry. But what it means, and one of those things I find with those feelings and thoughts that you have towards music is where you start working on your project and you don't even have a plan, and you just start working on it and you completely destroy it. You just think, well, there must be a problem, so I'm going to mute everything and solo each individual instrument and EQ everything till the problem goes. And that's not solving anything. That's just you in a horrible loop with your feelings, and then doing these actions and then hoping it doesn't, there's no plan there, is there? What we do need to do is focus on the thing that actually exists. And the only thing that actually exists is what's coming out your speakers or your headphones, and that's the music. So we need to focus in completely on the music and what that's doing. And then we can assess and work out, why the problems are problems, and then come up with solutions. So that's really important. I mean, feelings are, this is why when I'm coaching people, part of the coaching is, we practice how to listen to music. Like, listening to music increasingly becomes more difficult for people the more distracted we get, and just with technology, we're listening to music on our computers, we're listening to it on our phones, we're listening to it on machines of distraction. It's gone are the days where I used to just sit in a dark room playing a record, okay, and just being, an 8-year-old child and be able to sit still and listen to a record and be entertained by it like a film or something like that. I mean, I don't know any kid who could do that now. I mean, there will be somebody. They'll probably live on an island and don't have any internet though, right? But I can't, that skill's kind of gone in a lot of people, isn't it? So being able to be absolutely absorbed in music, what I do is then I train people all about this thing called direct listening. And direct listening is just being able to have a method of being able to listen to the music without distraction. So away from those internal feelings that you have about your music. Because the problems with those feelings of, I don't like this bit, I don't like that, or you might put your music on, right, to listen to it, and you're working on this track, it's not finished, right? And it might be something like you don't like the snare drum, right? And you're listening to this track, and it's going by, and you listen to the snare drum going, I don't like that, and then you start thinking about how I'm going to fix that snare drum. Well, the problem there is you've now not listened to all of the music in its entirety. You haven't assessed everything. You've only listened to the kick drum, and you're not even listening to the kick drum. What you're doing is you're just now planning in your head what to actually do. So that's like a bit of a problem, isn't it? What you need to be doing is trying to put those distracting thoughts and feelings to one side and just listen to the entirety of the music without having any judgment. Stop the music, and then whatever you want to do to that music in your next session, then you can plan after that. And then if you need to have another listen, have another listen. But I don't really do more than 2 listens. Do I like thumping? Again, I'm not going to give you the short answer. Do I like thumping? I like it when other people are doing thumping. I don't do it. Thumping's not been something for me at all. I shared out your stream. Thank you, Tyler. I really, really appreciate that. That's absolutely brilliant. So thumping, yeah, thumping's not something. I watch it, and then when I watched all of those, when I first got back into shredding, and I watched all of those players thumping and slapping and tapping and doing that whole polyphia thing, and I just looked at it and went, this is my face. And then I was like, shit, that's good. And then I was like, oh, right, So to get back into shredding, I have to do that. And then I just thought, no, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. It's like, it's all right. I love watching it, and I quite like listening to it, but I do get sick of the sound. You love thumping. That's good. Again, I would not rule thumping out. If it's going to solve me a problem that comes up, then you know, thumping is a thing. But I'll tell you what I have been doing. It's kicking my arse, right? The thing that's absolutely just started off really well, and I need a coffee before I start talking about this. That started off well, and like now I'm in the courage phase. I did the commitment on this thing, and it started off well, and I've had a honeymoon period, and like now it's just got really frustrating, and I get obsessed with it, and then do solos and sound really crap, and that is well, I got into chromatic playing, didn't I? Right, so story has been playing guitar, and just getting everything's good. I'm at that thing. You've got your confidence. You're enjoying your new confidence from your new skills and capabilities, and not a lot's happening. Maintaining your technique, doing whatever, getting slightly better here and there incrementally, but then suddenly getting really bored of what's going on in your playing. And I thought, all right, what do I need to do? And actually, I didn't know what to do for a bit, and then I can't remember how I got into it. But I just started messing about. I don't even know what triggered it, but I just started messing about with like little chromatic things. Like literally just doing like, or and just adding them in. I think like one of the first things was probably like doing like 3-1-3 kind of stuff, something like that. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I can use that. And I mean, the good thing about the chromatic thing is you're closing in the harmony. So it's really good for building up tension and release. But it's got nothing to do with blues or anything like that. Just, this is a sound I made. I wanted like an edge of breakup sound. And what I've done now is one of my channels, my lead channel now, I've got like a few different patches on it. So, yeah. God, what was I talking about? Chromatic. Yeah. So getting in the chromatic thing, and then you get bored of that, don't you? And then I started. I thought, right, okay. Now what I need to do is, with very little understanding of all of this, I'm going to get into outside playing. And then, of course, I went to Alan Holdsworth, right? And then I watched a few guitarists who've been trying to really good. I would imagine doing an amazing job. Nobody really knows, because nobody knows exactly how Alan did what he did. But one of the guys, I can't remember his name, was talking about the fact that Alan was a big fan of Olivier Messiaen, the composer, and modes 3 and 6 were mentioned. And I thought, right, okay, let's have a look at the Messiaen scales. They sound really good because it's notes of equal importance. So I thought, well, that's good, because when you're starting to learn, like, one of the things you can an easy way to understand how to use chromatic notes in your playing is that not all notes are equal, all right? Because what we're doing is we're favouring usually chord tone. Well, it's going to be chord tones, isn't it? Because what else is there? So if you're playing like an E, if you're playing like an E9, and you do something chromatic, you could do like an approach note, and that's just approaching from F to the F sharp, which is the 9th. So technically that's like a really easy kind of chromatic thing. So the F note isn't as important as that F sharp, is it? So my target note's the root here. And I'm just pulling off from the minor third, 9, F, and E. And that E note is, to me, the most important note. If I went up, the G note's now important. So that's a way to, think about it. But the Messiaen stuff, the notes are all equal. So everything, the harmony and everything and the structure of what you're doing has to really change, I think, to support that. And that's where things just get like really complicated. And I was just like, well, no. So I had the scale maps up, and I was like, right, let's do this. And I was getting them under my fingers, and I just thought, no, I'm not like this is. I'm gonna have to stop streaming and like basically disappear for 10 years and then come back. It was just a massive lump of work to solve like a simple problem. So I had to come back, and I thought, right, well, what other options have I got? And then the thing that came up was chromatic enclosures. So, and I was kind of doing some of them, but then I wasn't sure. So I've been like, one of my hobbies now is to collect chromatic enclosures and try and put them in my playing. And that's the thing, is like installing them into your playing is the trick, isn't it? Tanmi is saying a couple of things here. Your legato was amazing, thank you. I think modal pentatonic boxes would be a great new endeavour. Well, I just assume that everybody in the world knows them. Tanmi. If you don't know your pentatonic boxes, do learn them, because there's only 5 of them, and you already probably know 1 or 2. So you just got to learn them, haven't you? I think it's the most fun thing to learn, by the way. Whoops. Says me messing number 2 up. So yeah. So one of my favourite things is actually just using the pentatonic scale and connecting licks together. Not quite warmed up enough to do this sort of stuff here. Anyway, I should play something, and then I'll talk a little bit more about chromatic enclosures. Don't know what I'm going to do. We're in C here, hold on. I'll just get the background. Oh, got somebody new. Sorry, just stop at one moment. I think modal pentatonic boxes would be a great new endeavor. That would be definitely a good one. So I often use, so for me, I use like, the root minor pentatonic if I'm in a minor key, and I'll use the minor pentatonic a fifth above, which gives me the ninth. Hi Neilsha, how you doing? I'm new here. Do you enjoy soundscapes in R&B? I do actually really enjoy R&B, and I've produced a lot of R&B back in the day when I was writing a lot of like R&B type songs with various artists. In fact, one of the artists I work with who used to top line my music was Karen Harding. Karen Harding had a hit in the end with M&EK. Say Something it was called, like about 10 years ago. But I had her on about 4 or 5 tracks. That's actually one of the things that got me my publishing at the time, was because I was working with her. And then things sort of just happened, and she became a bit of a star at the time. But she's still doing like a lot of singing and stuff and working with really top artists. Anyway, so yes. But Nisha, great to have you on here. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and of course, anybody here who is watching who hasn't subscribed, do everybody do like. If you haven't put a thumbs up, put a thumbs up, because I want to see if it goes up. So push the thumbs up for the like for me, so the algorithm sees this amazing channel of lives. And do give me a sub, because I really would like to get to over the 1,000 mark on my subs. Oh, there's one. Thank you for that like. So it'd be great to have more subs as well. And those of you who've been on who haven't been coached by me, who would be interested in being coached, new groups are starting next year. There's been a spike in interest, which is great. So if you want to be coached, get in contact. The email is in the description, and also join the Discord and send me an email, and I can tell you all about it. Because the thing about the coaching is it's going to get you making tons of music. So yes, soundscape's great. So often what I'm doing here is, just as I'm jamming, is I'll use sort of background soundscapes. Just something like that. It feels like you're not naked. Adding the key modal target notes in the boxes. What exactly do you mean? Right, I'll come to that. Gramps. Yeah. Oh, hi doctor, how you doing? No. I can't do cover. I'll get a strike, doctor. Alright. Hi Jeff. Oops, playing wrong notes here. All right, bit of a jam. Backing track, yeah. So I've got my live looping set up like a mixed track basically. So everything's just kind of there, ready to go. That's quite fun. Right, let's try this. go. Dare I ask, Jen? I'm not really a. Dare I ask? I'm not really a gent player, but I do love downtuning. Do I experiment with unconventional rhythm patterns and time signatures? Very occasionally, but I don't think it's ever happened on this channel. I think part of that is because I spent such a long time producing dance music, you know. I just love a groove. Got to jump to bed. Good night, Tanmay. Thank you for watching. I think it's a coffee time, isn't it? Oh. Right, hold on. Okay. Anyway, so you go, a little bit of an improvisation there with some occasional chromatic enclosures. I think I need a new battery in my guitar as well. I'm just going to stick one in now. Hi Wayne, how you doing? Wayne, if you haven't, I can't remember if I've seen you on here or not, so forgive me if I've, but it's brilliant having you on here. All the way from Texas. Here I am in the UK. So great having you on here. Would be great if you could like and subscribe. Would be brilliant. That would make me so happy. First time, great. Well, there's a lot going on this channel at the minute. I've just been jamming. I'm really, into sort of the whole live looping thing. You see, this is the backstage bit. So what happens is, sorry, I'll have to apologise about my hair because it's I start the stream at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I can't reach perfection. Oh, thank you, Wayne. But here we are, backstage. I've got a lovely green leafy plastic wall here. It looks great, doesn't it? I really like it. And then I've got push. I'm running Ableton Live. And I have various patches here. So these are all my sort of sounds that I'll have. Guitar bass. You probably hear it going out of tune because it's pitched down digitally. And I can just patch myself in on various things, which is great. So that's been the latest thing that I do. Other times I've been producing whole tracks on here as well, Wayne. But I'm really into sort of guitar playing at the minute. I've got back into it, so it's been a little bit guitar heavy lately. But yeah, quite like, I should use that more. I think that's a really good shot, isn't it? Get to see the thumb behind the neck doing some work. And at the minute, I'm just on my coffee break. So today we've been talking about solving musical problems. The other thing, Wayne, that you probably won't know about me is that I'm a trained music coach, so I help producers overcome procrastination, boredom, fear, over any sort of creative obstacles that they have in their process. I've been lucky to be trained by the wonderful Mike Monday, and Mike coaches like all the A-lister producers and DJs. So I've been trained by him, and I run my own coaching thing. So I mean, if you're interested in that kind of thing, there's the email there, and we can talk about that if that's something you'd like. But other than that, today what we've been talking about, so we've talked about chromatic enclosures and the trials and tribulations that. We've talked about acquiring new skills. We've talked about what was the other thing we talked about? Creating creating a unique style based on solving your musical problems is what we're talking about. And then I decided to have a jam, and then I think I was going to talk about what I was doing on there, but I'm actually running out of time. So I think tomorrow there's going to be a live stream. So I'm going to make tomorrow much more of a guitar lesson. Right, so I hope everybody's up for that. So it's going to be a guitar lesson, and I think I'll just reflect on what I've been doing today with my playing, and then I'm going to do some wins, problems, and opportunities, and we're going to have a look at those, because I think that would give everybody a lot of insight into kind of the and when I talk about issues and problems are great into solving your problems. I think it would be great to have a discussion around that. So I'll start it off by just sharing what I think about my playing, what I've done today on my performance, because really, I don't totally believe in you're only as good as your last performance, but obviously I'll be reviewing this and I'm talking about it tomorrow, and hopefully not talking too long, because I'm way more interested in what you guys have got to say, because I get such a lot out of hearing other people's problems. It improves me, and I think, oh yeah, I never thought about it. I could do that. That would be great. So make sure you have your guitars, because it's just a wonderful opportunity to share things with the group. I can't solve everything, but I think as a group we have a lot more chances of doing that and coming up with more unique, interesting ways of just helping everybody become themselves musically. And that's, at the end of the day, is the most important thing, is to just remember why you're doing what you're doing, because it's all about us connecting with the world around us. Playing scales, playing licks, mixing a track, writing a track. Why is it? I mean, yes, it's enjoyment and it's therapeutic for all of us, but we can also do some good out there in the world by releasing our music, can't we? Because there'll be plenty of people there, and it doesn't matter how bad you think your music is, I can guarantee there will be fans out there for everybody who will absolutely love everything you do. And the more unique your music is, then you are the only provider, and therefore your value is much higher. And those are my final words today as I now go for my park walk. So I'll see everybody tomorrow. Do subscribe, definitely like, because I want to have, like, by the end of the day, I'm going to have 1,000 subscribers. It's so close, isn't it? All right then. Thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.